People are shocked by shocking reports about Rick Harrison, who is known for his work on the show Pawn Stars. There were reports that Richard Harrison, also known as Rick, had been given a life sentence in prison. Rick has always been thought of as the heart of the famous pawn shop in Las Vegas because of how smart he is at business and how much he knows about selling antiques. Now, though, things look like they've gone in a much different way. Millions of people have watched Pawn Stars for years because it shows the interesting world of antique trading where rare items are traded, talks get heated, and strange things always happen. Now, though, there are no more dramatic talks on screen. Instead, Rick Harrison shows up with a completely different story, one that is dark and unexpected. What did really happen? Is Rick really in big trouble with the law, as the rumors say? To clear things up, let's look into the specifics of this case. Richard Harrison, whose stage name is Rick Harrison, is an American businessman and TV host. Rick was born on March 22, 1965, in Lexington, North Carolina. Before he became famous on Pawn Stars, his life was full of ups and downs. This boy's family moved to San Diego, California when he was only 2 years old. He spent most of his childhood there. But Rick had a hard life. Because he had seizures, he missed a lot of school and spent most of his time reading after he was 8 years old. The years he spent studying helped him learn a lot about history, which later proved to be very useful in his work. Rick had to quit school in his second year of high school because he was sick. He didn't see it as a failure, though. Instead, it made him want to learn more, especially about business and history. The trip to the pawn shop. Rick started working on different business projects with his father, Richard Benjamin Harrison, also known as the Old Man, when he was a youngster. Early on, this helped him learn how to judge the value and validity of things, which would later be the key to his success. Rick's girlfriend Kim got pregnant when she was 17, which led to their marriage. After 8 years of marriage, they chose to split up. They had 2 sons, Corey and Adam. Rick and his family moved to Las Vegas, Nevada in 1981. His dad opened a gold and silver coin shop there. The store officially changed its name to the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in 1989. It was a famous pawn shop that would become the main setting for Pawn Stars. It wasn't easy in the beginning. Rick and his dad had to do a lot of work, dealing with a lot of problems, from rude people to dangerous situations. However, it was these events that, in Las Vegas in the early 2000s, Rick became famous for how knowledgeable he was about collecting items and history items. When he realized that pawnbroking could be fun, he started to think of ways to make a reality TV show about how his pawn shop worked day to day. Rick wasn't discouraged when he was turned down at first. He finally got a job with the History Channel in 2009 after years of hard work. This was the start of Pawn Stars, a show that gives viewers an inside look at the world of pawn shops and features exciting deals, rare antiques, and interesting historical stories. Rick, his son Corey Big Hoss Harrison, his father Old Man Harrison, and their best friend, Austin Chumley Russell, were all on the show. They bought, sold, and valued important historical items together, and the deals were often tense. When it first came out, Pawn Stars was a big hit. This made Rick go from running a neighborhood pawn shop to becoming a TV personality. His straightforward way of talking, sharp way of bargaining, and huge amount of knowledge made him a fan favorite very quickly. Whenever Rick gave an item its final price, he would say, "The best I can do is..." This line became famous. Pawn Stars were more than just fun, they were also informative, because each show had interesting historical facts about the things that were brought into the shop. This strategy helped the show get a lot of viewers of all ages, making it one of the most watched shows on the History Channel. Rick ran his pawn shop so well that it quickly became a popular spot for tourists from all over the world. Fans wanted to be there to see the big deals. Some even wanted to be in a show. The store's sales went through the roof, which helped a lot of other businesses grow, like selling souvenirs, books, and even starting a restaurant. Rick's fame didn't end with Pawn Stars. A lot of people wanted to hear him talk at business events, and he was on a lot of TV shows and in well-known magazines. Many people were inspired by what he said about business tactics and starting their own businesses. Rick Harrison is the brains behind Pawn Stars' success. He is known for both his business sense and the way he leads with clarity and action. On the show, he usually acts like a calm person who stops his son Corey from making hasty choices or stops Chumlee from being mischievous. Rick Harrison has made his own success story. He went from being a boy who dropped out of school because of seizures to a successful businessman and TV star. And while Pawn Stars may keep going in new ways, Rick is without a doubt the person who has made the show what it is today. This was more than just a father-son bond between Rick Harrison and his father, Richard Oldman Harrison. They had a bond because they had worked together for many years. They worked together to open the gold and silver pawn shop, and they both believed that being honest and smart in business was important. When Oldman died in 2018, Rick kept running the business the way his father did so that the family tradition would live on. Even though Rick had a lot of success with Pawn Stars, his personal life had its ups and downs. After the end of his first marriage, he married Tracy Harrison. They were married for 27 years before getting a divorce in 2011. Following 2 years, Rick got married to Deanna Burdett in a special service led by Danny Coker, the star of Counting Cars. Chumlee was the ring bearer. Rick has always kept his family life private, but the few times he talks about his wife and kids on the show, they show how devoted he is to them. He is always trying to balance his fame, work, and personal life. Rick Harrison didn't stop at Pawn Stars. He also opened Rick's Rollin' Smoke BBQ and Tavern at Pawn Plaza, which is right next to the gold and silver pawn shop. He also co-wrote the book License to Pawn, Deals, Steals, and My Life at the Gold and Silver in 2011. In it, he wrote about his life and work behind the scenes. As a smart businessman is always on the lookout for new ways to grow his business and build his brand, thousands of transactions on Pawn Stars involving everything from old cars and historical papers have shown that he can figure out how much something is worth. Rick knows a lot about a lot of things, but he's not afraid to ask experts for help when he's not sure about something. This shows how careful and smart he is as a businessman. A 2001 New England Patriots Super Bowl ring that Rick bought for $2,600 and later sold for much more was one of his most important purchases. A group of Spanish gold coins from a shipwreck in 1715 was another interesting item that Rick bought. It showed how much he loved history and finding interesting things. Rick has had a lot of success, but things haven't always gone smoothly in his life. In 2023, he became the subject of a federal probe out of the blue, which shocked his fans and people close to him. Rick's home and gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas were searched thoroughly by FBI agents, IRS inspectors, and people from the Department of Cultural Heritage Protection. People who were in the store at the time said it looked like something from a movie. Agents searched the store and took computers, documents, and other items while customers and workers were being held. As time went on, Rick's son Corey Harrison said that it all seemed like a dream because it happened so fast. Videos of Secret Service agents leading Rick out of the house quickly went popular on social media, leading to a lot of guessing. As more information came out, it was clear that the police were looking into claims of a complex tax evasion plan, money laundering, and the sale of artifacts that were thought to have come from illegal sources. The accusations come from transactions that looked fishy that were flagged by banks and reports from several former business partners. However, Rick has stayed cool even though there have been storms of public opinion, keeping his business going while he waits for the investigation to be over. Rick Harrison is without a doubt one of the most important reality TV stars, even though things have been hard for him. Rick's story shows how hard work, talent, and the ability to change to new situations can lead a boy who loved reading to become a successful businessman and Pawn Stars icon. In the weeks after the raid, History Channel stopped making Pawn Stars. In a short statement, the network said it was keeping an eye on things and would make a choice when it had more information. The gold and silver loan shop stayed open, but there were a lot fewer customers because Rick Harrison was in trouble with the law. Representatives for Rick quickly denied that he had done anything wrong, saying that the investigation was just a mistake that would be cleared up soon. David Marshall, Rick's famous Las Vegas lawyer who has a lot of experience working with celebs, reassured him that Rick had always run his business in an honest and legal way. But as the probe went on, more and more disturbing information came to light. Authorities say they have proof that Rick used a complicated system to sell historical items on the private market for more than they were worth while purposely undervaluing them to lower his tax bill. Researchers also said that Rick bought many of the stolen artifacts through middlemen. These items included important historical papers and artifacts from museums and private collections. Court records later showed that the investigation began when a former Rick's worker chose to speak out. This person said they were directly involved in getting many of the valuable things and told Rick about a secret accounting system that was used to keep private transactions that Rick didn't want to show on the company's books. Soon after, Rick was arrested. The next day, he was freed on bail and went to court right away. He was charged with many major crimes, such as not paying taxes, laundering money, selling stolen goods, and planning to buy historical artifacts illegally. As the heat from the prosecution grew, lawyer David Marshall continued to say that his client was innocent. The trial went on for almost a year, and new evidence was given all the time. At first, strongly rejected all charges, but as former friends and co-workers started testifying against him, things got worse for Rick. The prosecution showed a lot of financial papers, encrypted messages, and statements from former workers who said Rick told them to change records to hide big transactions. Messages between Rick and an unnamed supplier were one of the most shocking pieces of evidence. In them, Rick is said to have talked about how to hide the source of an 18th century document that was reportedly stolen from a university archive. In a different conversation, Rick was said to have planned to set up deals so that he wouldn't have to report big cash payments. Even though the trial put a lot of pressure on him, he stuck to his beliefs by going on a lot of TV shows, especially ones with a conservative lean. He said that a plot was going on to hurt his image and the success of Pawn Stars. A lot of people who supported Rick made hashtags like #HashFreeRick and planned protests outside the courts to say they didn't like how the case was handled. But for some people, Rick's fall was a big surprise, as the lawyer who played a smart but honest businessman on TV was now in trouble with the law. A lot of people, including lawyers, were shocked by the final decision. When the judge read the decision, there was silence in the courtroom. Rick had been calm during the whole trial, but when he heard the decision, he turned pale. The judge saw his son Corey sitting in the back with his hands over his head. Chumley, Rick's longtime friend, quickly left the courtroom in tears. Some experts said Rick got a harsh term for what he was really guilty of, but the judge made it clear that Rick's punishment was not only for his financial crimes, but also for the damage he had done to cultural and historical artifacts that could not be fixed. Melissa Jenkins, who is in charge of the effort, said, "We don't deny that Rick may have done something wrong, but this sentence is not justice, it's revenge. A life term for a crime that wasn't violent is not fair. Everyone should either sign the petition or give money to Rick's defense fund. Each and every prayer and word of support, every little bit of money can help him have a good chance at an appeal." Corey Harrison, Rick's son, also spoke deeply. "Even though my dad did some bad things, he didn't deserve to die in jail. He should be given a chance to fix things." In the meantime, the History Channel quickly cut all ties with Rick, ending the show Pawn Stars for good and not showing any more episodes. In a public statement, the channel said it was very upset with Rick's actions and reaffirmed its unwavering dedication to protecting and honoring cultural history. Rick Harrison used to be a well-known and liked TV star, but now he is in a very different part of his life, full of controversy, legal problems, and unanswered questions. Before he got into trouble with the law, Rick Harrison was a well-known reality TV star and a smart businessman who had built a kingdom that went far beyond the gold and silver pawn shop. He opened a number of restaurants and bars in Las Vegas because he was an enterprising person who wanted to grow to other places. Rick's image took a big hit from the scandal, but his legacy can't be denied. He has given full control of Gold and Silver Pawn Shop to his son Corey Harrison. Even though the shop's initial customer base dropped after the scandal, it is still a famous place to visit in Las Vegas. To get people to trust the shop again, Corey has worked to rebrand it by focusing on being open and honest in all dealings and teaming up with museums and schools to support responsible collecting. In a tearful interview, 6 months after Rick was found guilty, Corey talked about how hard it was to run the family business and address the issues that came up at trial. "For every purchase, we put in place strict verification methods." He said that what happened was wrong and that they were committed to being part of the answer, not the problem. Austin Chumley Russell, who saw Rick as a father figure and teacher, also had mixed feelings. "Rick taught me a lot. He said in a podcast chat, 'I will carry these good business ideas with me for the rest of my life.' I had to accept that he had a side I didn't see, or maybe I didn't want to see. For the Harrison family, the most important thing right now is to help Rick with his appeal and work to fix the pawn shop's image and protect its future." Many people were shocked when Corey took over the business, as he was known for acting without thinking on Pawn Stars. Corey, on the other hand, has shown that he is smart enough to handle the family business and wealth. In a recent press release, my dad said, "The letters of support from fans have been a lifeline for me." He said that he reads every letter he gets and feels strong knowing that so many people still believe in the Harrison family. Through this hard time, Rick's family has held vigils every Sunday in front of the pawn shop. Loyal fans meet to show their support for him. If someone can't make it to Las Vegas, the family wants them to send letters, cards, or even pictures of memories that used to make people happy about Pawn Stars. Corey said that those small acts of kindness make a big difference to a man who is having the worst time of his life. Corey is sure that the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop will be able to handle the changes. He said, "My dad taught me everything I know about this business. The good principles he taught me are what I'm building on now. Though we've done some very bad things, this shop has been in Las Vegas for more than 30 years, and I plan to keep it there for at least 30 more. The journey of Rick Harrison has been nothing short of amazing. He went from being a poor pawn shop owner to a successful businessman, reality TV star, and now a man serving a life term. His amazing change shows how quickly things can go from bad to better, especially when you're famous and in the public eye. People who study culture have said that Rick's fall is like a play from Shakespeare, where a man who knows a lot about history ends up destroying himself with the very things he loved. Rick's story is now used to teach people about the dangers of success and the thin line between smart business behavior and criminal behavior. The shocking turn of events has not only shook reality TV, but it has also put his family business in danger because it no longer has the charismatic boss who used to drive it. At this tough time, Rick Harrison needs all the help he can get. If you liked Pawn Stars and Rick's work as an entertainer over the years, you might want to send him prayers, positive thoughts, or words of support. Fans can leave notes on a special website set up by the Harrison family. These messages will be sent to Rick in prison. From what his family says, hearing from friends has been a huge source of comfort for him during this hard time. The website also gives an address where letters of support can be sent, because they want each letter to bring Rick a little comfort during this hard time. The family said in a statement that Rick has always loved the Pawn Stars viewers, and it means even more to him to know that you are still there for him. The Rick Harrison story keeps going in ways that have never been seen before in reality TV. We'll keep you up to date on this shocking case that touched more than one person, but changed the way a family business worked and questioned what success really meant.